What are you doing here?
I'm watering my garden. I live here. This is my home.
Okay, sure. Can you prove that? Show me ID and proof of residence.
I don't have my wallet on me. I'm just doing yard work.
Don't move. Stay right there. You're being awfully defensive for someone
Officer,
who lives
this is
here.
my home. I have every
That's
right
what
to
they all
be
say.
here.
You're under arrest for obstruction.
Officer Tyler Chen had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 18 months, he would lose his badge. He would face federal charges. He would spend 32 years behind bars, and he would cost his department $8.5 million. The 67-year-old woman watering flowers in her own front yard, she was retired Judge Margaret Williams, one of the most respected judges in Oregon's history. Margaret had spent 30 years on the bench. She handled thousands of cases, including police misconduct trials. She knew the law better than most attorneys Chen would ever meet. She had lived in that home for 25 years, and the neighbor across the street, her phone camera was capturing every single second. The illegal detention, the handcuffs on bruised wrists, and Chen ignoring 8 witnesses who confirmed he was arresting a homeowner in her own driveway. Before I continue, let me ask you this. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone in power? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Chen had no idea who he was handcuffing. Margaret Elizabeth Williams was 67 years old. She had retired 2 years earlier after 30 years as a circuit court judge. She graduated from Yale Law School in 1982. She worked as a public defender for 5 years. Then she became a prosecutor. In 1992, at age 37, she was appointed to the circuit court. Over 3 decades, she handled over 4,800 cases. Many of them were high-profile police misconduct trials. Other judges called her Judge No-Nonsense. She was known for following the law strictly, especially when it came to constitutional rights. Here's what Chen didn't know. Margaret had taught law seminars to police departments. She had been an expert witness in 12 federal civil rights cases. She had written 3 articles about Fourth Amendment violations, and she had personally trained over 200 officers on lawful detention. Chen could have been one of them. Margaret was widowed 5 years earlier. She lived alone in the home she bought in 1999. Her garden was her therapy, something she did every Tuesday afternoon. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her. She hosted annual block parties. Her daughter Lauren was a civil rights attorney at a major Portland law firm. On this Tuesday afternoon in May, Margaret was just watering the roses her late husband had planted 20 years earlier. Now here's what happened next. Officer Tyler Chen was 34 years old. He had a different kind of reputation in Portland's Northwest District. Chen had been with Portland Police for 8 years. He worked in wealthy, mostly white neighborhoods. He had a military background, 4 years in the Marines with an honorable discharge. His official record showed no prior problems. But Internal Affairs knew something else. They had 8 complaints against Chen in just 18 months. Every single one involved black people in white neighborhoods. Every single complaint described the same pattern: suspicion without cause, demands for ID on private property, aggressive behavior when questioned. 14 months earlier, Chen stopped Marcus Johnson outside his office building downtown. Marcus was a black architect. Chen accused him of casing the building. Marcus worked there. The complaint was marked officer error. 11 months earlier, Chen detained Charis Thompson in a hospital parking lot. Charis was a black nurse leaving her night shift. She was wearing hospital scrubs. She had her employee badge visible. Chen still asked what she was really doing there. The complaint was marked insufficient evidence. 6 months earlier, Chen questioned an elderly black man named Robert Hayes. Robert was walking his dog 2 blocks from Margaret's home. Chen demanded proof he lived in the neighborhood. Robert had lived there for 40 years. The complaint led to counseling for Chen. Other patrol officers called him Chen the problem in private. The union rep had talked to him twice about community relations, but he was never formally disciplined. Let me know in the comments what you think about this pattern. On May 14, 2024, at 3:17 p.m., Chen's pattern collided with someone who had spent 3 decades holding officers like him accountable. It was Tuesday, May 14, 2024. The time was 3:00 p.m. The location was Arbor Hills neighborhood in northwest Portland, tree-lined streets with beautiful 1920s homes. Average home value was $1.2 million. The area was 87% white, quiet, professional families. Margaret's home sat on a corner lot, immaculate garden, American flag on the porch. It was a perfect spring afternoon, 68 degrees, clear skies. You could hear lawnmowers running, children playing 3 houses down. Mrs. Patricia Chen, no relation to the officer, was trimming hedges across the street. The mail carrier was making his rounds. A retired couple walked their golden retriever. Margaret was in her front garden. She wore gardening gloves and a sun hat, casual clothes, a watering can in her hand. She was tending to rose bushes along the fence line. She had been outside for 20 minutes. Multiple neighbors could see her. At 3:12 p.m., Chen's patrol car turned onto the street. He slowed down when he saw Margaret. He watched her for 4 minutes from 50 feet away. His dashcam captured the timestamp. There was no dispatch call, no complaint, no reported crime. At 3:17 p.m., he pulled into Margaret's driveway. He blocked her car. Margaret set down her watering can. She was surprised but not alarmed. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked. Her tone was polite and calm. Chen got out of his vehicle. His hand stayed near his belt. His posture was aggressive, no greeting, just an immediate challenge. "What are you doing here? If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe." In that moment, Margaret made a decision. She could have said, "I'm Judge Williams." She could have pulled rank, but she had spent 30 years watching how officers treated people who couldn't pull rank. She wanted to see what Officer Chen would do when he thought she was powerless. That's when everything changed. "I'm watering my garden," Margaret said. "I live here. This is my home." Chen's tone was skeptical. "Can you prove that? Show me ID and proof of residence." "I don't have my wallet on me," Margaret explained. "I'm doing yard work, but I'm happy to go inside and get my identification if you need it." Chen stepped forward. He blocked her path. "Don't move, stay right there." Margaret stayed calm. "Officer, I'm not sure why you're here, but this is my property. I've lived here for 25 years. "That's what you say," Chen replied. "I need to verify that. You're being awfully defensive." "I'm not being defensive," Margaret said. "I'm confused about why you're questioning me in my own yard." Chen grabbed his radio. "I've got a suspicious person at 2847 Laurel Avenue refusing to provide identification, requesting backup." Margaret couldn't believe it. "Suspicious? I'm watering flowers in broad daylight." "Ma'am, if you continue to obstruct this investigation, you'll be arrested." "What investigation?" Margaret asked. "What crime are you investigating?" Chen's voice got harder. "I don't have to explain myself to you. Now, are you going to cooperate or not?" Margaret set a boundary. "Officer, you have no reasonable suspicion to detain me. I have no legal obligation to show you ID on my own property. This is against the Constitution." Chen laughed. It was dismissive. "Oh, so now you're a lawyer. You people always think you know the law." Margaret caught it immediately. "You people." Chen realized his mistake, but he doubled down. "Yeah, you people who think you're above the law, who think you can just." Mrs. Patricia Chen walked over from across the street. "Officer, that's Judge Williams. She's lived here for." Chen cut her off. "Ma'am, step back. This doesn't concern you." "Officer, you are unlawfully detaining me," Margaret said firmly. "I am the homeowner. Multiple neighbors can verify this. You're under arrest for obstruction and trespassing." Mrs. Chen pulled out her phone. She started recording. "This is wrong." The mail carrier stopped his route. He was watching. "Hey, that's Judge Williams." The retired couple with their dog came closer. "Officer, what are you doing? She lives there." Chen grabbed Margaret's wrists. He pulled them behind her back. Margaret's voice stayed steady. "I am not resisting. I am 67 years old, and you are violating my constitutional rights." Chen forced the handcuffs on. They were tight enough to bruise. Margaret winced but didn't pull away. "These are too tight. you're causing injury." Chen ignored her. He began walking her to his patrol car. "Type justice in the comments if you think this is wrong." 10 minutes later, what Officer Chen didn't know was that his dashcam and body cam were recording everything. And what he really didn't know was that Margaret had personally trained 47 Portland police officers, including Chen's current supervisor. She had taught them about this exact scenario: unlawful detention, Fourth Amendment violations, and how one bad stop could end a career. At 3:24 p.m., 2 backup units arrived. Officers Ramirez and Jackson got out of their cars. Chen briefed them quickly. "Subject claims to live here, won't provide ID, being uncooperative, arrested for obstruction and trespassing." Margaret spoke from the patrol car. "Officers, I am Margaret Williams. I am a retired circuit court judge. This is my home. I am being unlawfully arrested." Officer Ramirez froze. "Wait, Judge Williams." Chen was dismissive. "She's claiming to be some judge, haven't verified anything." "Officer Ramirez, check your records," Margaret said calmly. 2847 Laurel Avenue, Margaret Elizabeth Williams. "I've owned this home since 1999. Ramirez ran the address on his computer. His face went pale. The witnesses started speaking up louder now. Mrs. Patricia Chen was 71 years old, a retired teacher. "I've lived across the street for 30 years. That's Judge Williams. She hosts our neighborhood. Watch meetings. This is wrong." David Martinez was 45, the mail carrier. "I deliver her mail 5 days a week. Her name S on the mailbox. On the bills, Judge Margaret Williams. What is happening here?" Robert and Susan Hayes were the retirees with the dog. "She's been our neighbor for 25 years. She's a judge, a federal judge." They were wrong about federal, but their point was clear. A college student jogging by pulled out her phone. "I'm recording this. This is going on every platform." Everything was being documented now. Mrs. Chen's cell phone video ran 8 minutes and 42 seconds. The college student's video was 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Chen's body cam had the full encounter from first contact. His dashcam showed the initial 4-minute observation period. The backup officer's body cams captured the witness statements and Margaret's calm words from the patrol car. By 3:31 p.m., Margaret's daughter got a call. Lauren was an attorney. Mrs. Chen had called her immediately. At 3:34 p.m., Lauren called Police Chief Daniel Morrison. He had worked with Margaret for 15 years. At 3:36 p.m., Lauren called District Attorney Rebecca Torres. Margaret had mentored her early in her career. At 3:42 p.m., Sergeant Michael Foster arrived on scene. Margaret had trained him in 2019. He approached Chen's patrol car. He looked inside. Recognition hit him instantly. His voice was shaking. "Chen, what did you do?" "Sarge, she wouldn't provide ID, she." "That's Judge Margaret Williams, the Margaret Williams, Circuit Court, 30 years. You just arrested one of the most respected judges in Oregon." Chen's face drained of all color. Foster immediately opened the patrol car door. "Judge Williams, I am so sorry. You're being released immediately." Margaret held up her wrists. They were bruised and red from the handcuffs. "Sergeant Foster, document everything. I want every frame of body cam footage preserved. This arrest was unlawful from initial contact. Officer Chen had no reasonable suspicion, no probable cause, and he racially profiled me." Chen tried to backpedal. "Judge, I didn't know, if you just told me." Margaret cut him off. Her voice was firm but not angry. "I told you repeatedly I was the homeowner. I offered to get identification. You blocked my path. You detained me unlawfully. You ignored multiple witnesses. And you said, you people, I shouldn't have to be a judge for you to respect my constitutional rights, Officer Chen. But since I am a judge, I know exactly what laws you violated, and I know exactly what your department is liable for. Let me know in the comments if you think Margaret handled this correctly." By 3:50 p.m., Sergeant Foster drove Margaret home. It was only 2 blocks. He apologized 7 times during that short drive. By 4:15 p.m., Police Chief Morrison was in his office. He was reviewing body cam footage with his head in his hands. By 5:00 p.m., the district attorney had assigned a special prosecutor. And by 6:00 p.m., Mrs. Chen's video had 47,000 views on Facebook. Officer Tyler Chen's career had approximately 14 hours left. Lieutenant Sarah Williams arrived at Margaret's home at 6:47 p.m. that same day. No relation to Margaret. She worked in internal affairs. She had been with the department for 18 years. She brought a formal apology from Chief Morrison. She began an immediate investigation. Captain James Rodriguez was the patrol division commander. By 8:00 p.m., he had reviewed all the body cam and dash cam footage. By 9:30 p.m., he suspended Chen without pay. The suspension would last until the investigation was complete. The next day, May 15th, Internal Affairs launched a full review. They went through all the footage frame by frame. They interviewed 8 neighbor witnesses on the record. Margaret gave a formal statement. It took 4 hours. It was 47 pages long. Chen gave his own statement. It contradicted the video evidence 12 times. Internal Affairs reopened all 8 previous complaints against Chen. Chen's story started falling apart immediately. Chen claimed Margaret was acting suspiciously. He said she was looking into windows of multiple homes. The video showed something completely different. Margaret was watering flowers in her own front yard for 20 straight minutes. She never approached any other property. Chen claimed Margaret became aggressive when asked for ID. He said she made sudden movements toward her house. The body cam audio told a different story. Margaret's voice stayed calm the entire time. She offered to get her ID peacefully. Chen blocked her path. Chen claimed Margaret refused to identify herself. He said she wouldn't prove she lived there despite multiple requests. But the body cam audio was clear. Margaret stated her name 6 times. She said she was the homeowner 11 times. She offered to get ID 3 times. She even told Chen she was a retired judge during the arrest itself. Chen claimed no witnesses were present to back up Margaret's claims. The video evidence proved this was a lie. 5 witnesses were on scene. 4 of them explicitly told Chen she was Judge Williams and the homeowner. Chen ignored every single one of them. 1 week later, on May 22nd, Internal Affairs made their decision. They found Chen guilty of multiple violations: unlawful detention because he had no reasonable suspicion, unlawful arrest because he had no probable cause, excessive force because the handcuffs were applied too tightly and caused injury, failure to de-escalate the situation, ignoring evidence that proved Margaret's innocence, false statements in his official report, and a clear pattern of racial profiling based on 8 prior incidents. Chen was fired immediately. The case was sent to the FBI Civil Rights Division. It was also sent to the Multnomah County District Attorney for criminal charges. Portland police issued a public apology to Margaret Williams. In his exit interview, Chen showed no real understanding. "I was just doing my job," he said in denial, then anger. "You're destroying my career over this," then desperation. "I have a wife and 2 kids, I'll lose everything," then blame shifting. "If she'd just shown me ID from the beginning." His final statement missed the point entirely. "I never meant for this to happen. I didn't know she was a judge." Margaret's wrists needed medical documentation for the bruising. She had emotional distress, difficulty sleeping, but there was also relief. Portland police officers privately told investigators they were glad Chen was gone. Neighbors organized a letter-writing campaign supporting Margaret, and Margaret's daughter Lauren began preparing a federal civil rights lawsuit. If you believe police officers should be held accountable for actions like this, hit that subscribe button. But wait, there's more to this story. Mrs. Chen's video wasn't just local news anymore. By May 16th, it had reached national cable news. By May 17th, it was international. And by May 18th, legal experts from Harvard to Stanford were calling it a textbook Fourth Amendment violation and the clearest case of racial profiling captured on video. The video spread faster than anyone expected. May 14th, 6:00 p.m., Mrs. Chen uploaded the video to their neighborhood Facebook group. It had 347 members. May 14th, 7:15 p.m. The video hit 12,000 views. It was shared over 400 times. May 14th, 9:30 p.m. Portland activist groups picked it up. They posted it to Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. May 15th, 7:00 a.m. The video had 340,000 combined views across all platforms. May 15th, 11:00 a.m. Local Portland news stations led with the story. Retired judge arrested watering her own garden. May 15th, 6:00 p.m. National cable news covered it. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all of them. May 16th, it was trending #1 on Twitter. The hashtag was Justice for Judge Williams. There were 2.1 million tweets. By May 18th, the numbers were staggering. 8.7 million views on TikTok, 4.2 million on YouTube, 6.3 million on Twitter, 3.1 million on Facebook. The public response was overwhelming. One comment said, "This is every black person's nightmare, being arrested in your own home for existing." Another said, "Thank God she was a judge. Imagine if she was. How many people has this cop done this to?" A third comment read, "32 years isn't enough. He destroyed her sense of safety in her own yard." Media coverage went beyond social media. The New York Times ran a front-page story. The Washington Post did a deep dive into Chen's complaint history. NPR interviewed Margaret for 20 minutes. International outlets from the BBC to Al Jazeera covered it. Portland police issued an official statement. They condemned Chen's actions. They promised reforms. They said this didn't represent their values. Chen tried damage control. He hired a lawyer who released a statement. It said Chen made an error in judgment but wasn't racist. The public didn't buy it. His lawyer's Facebook page got flooded with angry comments. His statement was ratioed on every platform. 3 days later, Chen made things worse. He gave an interview to a local outlet trying to defend himself. He said he was just being cautious. The interview went viral for all the wrong reasons. People saw it as tone-deaf and showed he still didn't understand what he did wrong. Comment below if you think this video should have gone viral. This story was shared millions of times across the world. Share it if you think others should see what happened to Judge Williams. Margaret didn't want just an apology. She wanted accountability. On June 3, 2024, Margaret filed a federal civil rights lawsuit. Her daughter Lauren led the legal team. The lawsuit named Officer Tyler Chen. It also named the Portland Police Department, and it named the city of Portland. The claims were clear: unlawful detention, false arrest, excessive force, violation of her Fourth Amendment rights, racial profiling, and failure to properly train and supervise officers. During discovery, Margaret's legal team found something disturbing. They uncovered Chen's full pattern. There weren't just 8 complaints. There were 14. 6 had never been properly documented. The evidence count was massive: 47 body cam videos, 23 dashcam recordings, 31 witness statements, 14 formal complaints spanning 3 years. The case went to trial in March 2025. It became a major news story. Court TV covered it live. Margaret testified for 2 days. She talked about the fear she felt, the humiliation of being handcuffed in front of her neighbors, the pain in her wrists, the difficulty sleeping, the anxiety she now felt in her own garden. She also spoke as a legal expert. She explained every law Chen broke, every policy he violated, every training requirement he ignored. The jury listened carefully. Chen's defense tried to argue he made an honest mistake. They said he was following his training. They claimed he didn't see race, but the video evidence destroyed every argument. The jury saw Chen ignore 8 witnesses. They heard him say "you people." They watched him handcuff a 67-year-old woman for watering flowers. The jury took only 3 hours to decide. They found in Margaret's favor on every single claim. Now here's the amount. You won't believe this. The jury awarded Margaret $8.5 million, $2.5 million for emotional distress, $3 million for violation of her civil rights, and $3 million in punitive damages to punish the department's failures. But the financial judgment wasn't the end. Chen faced criminal charges, federal charges for deprivation of rights under color of law, state charges for false imprisonment, state charges for official misconduct. In August 2025, Chen went to criminal trial. The evidence was overwhelming. The same videos, the same witnesses, the same pattern of behavior. The jury convicted him on all counts. The sentencing happened in October 2025. The judge didn't hold back. She called Chen's actions a betrayal of public trust. She noted his complete lack of remorse. She talked about the need to send a message. Chen was sentenced to 32 years in federal prison, 15 years for deprivation of rights, 12 years for false imprisonment, 5 years for official misconduct. The sentences would run one after another, not at the same time. Chen also faced other consequences. He was banned from working in law enforcement anywhere in the United States. He lost his pension. His marriage fell apart under the stress. He lost custody of his 2 children, and he was ordered to pay $50,000 in restitution to Margaret on top of the civil judgment. Margaret's response was measured. She released a statement through her daughter. It said, "This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. It's about making sure no one else has to experience what I experienced. It's about changing a system that allowed Officer Chen to target black residents for years without consequences." But the story didn't end with money or prison time. Margaret gave a statement outside the courthouse after Chen's sentencing. Reporters from across the country were there. Cameras surrounded her. Her voice was steady, but you could hear the emotion behind it. "For 30 years I sat on the bench," she said. "I believed in the system, I believed in the law, I believed that if you followed the rules, if you respected people's rights, justice would prevail. On May 14, 2024, I learned what it feels like when that system fails you." She paused, took a breath. "I was arrested in my own front yard, for watering flowers, for existing while black in a white neighborhood. I was handcuffed so tightly my wrists were bruised for weeks. I was put in the back of a police car while my neighbors watched. And the worst part, this wasn't Officer Chen's first time doing this. It was just the first time he did it to someone who had the resources to fight back." Her message turned to other workers and citizens. If you work in retail, if you work in food service, if you work anywhere serving the public, you don't deserve abuse, she said. You have rights, you have dignity, and you should never have to tolerate being treated like Officer Chen treated me. Stand up for yourself, document everything, and know that consequences are real. She also had words for people like Chen. "To anyone who thinks they can abuse their power without consequences, you're wrong," Margaret continued. "Respect is the baseline, not something you earn, not something you grant to people who look like you or talk like you or live in the right neighborhood. Every single person deserves basic human respect, and if you can't give that, you have no business wearing a badge." She ended with what she wanted to see change. "I want better training," she said. "I want real accountability. I want a system where complaints are taken seriously the first time, not the 14th time. I want a culture shift where officers protect everyone, not just some people." She thanked her neighbors for standing up. She thanked her daughter for fighting Al. Alongside her, she thanked the DA and the police chief for taking action, and she thanked everyone who shared her story. But this case exposed something much bigger. Studies show that retail and service workers face abuse daily. One study found 75% of workers experienced customer aggression in a single year. Another found that black workers face discrimination at twice the rate of white workers. Margaret's case was different because she had resources, she had legal knowledge, she had connections, she had support. Most people don't have those things. The root causes go deep. There's a culture of entitlement. There are policies that protect abusers. There are legal gaps that make it hard to fight back. And there's an economic power imbalance that makes workers afraid to speak up. After Margaret's case, things started changing. Portland police updated their policies. They required officers to document every ID check. They created a civilian review board with real power. Other police departments across the country followed. But there's still work to do. So let me ask you, should police officers face consequences when they abuse their power? Should people be able to water their garden without fear? Should someone's race determine how they're treated by law enforcement? Because if we don't hold officers accountable, if we don't change the culture that protected Chen for years, then we're just waiting for the next bad cop, the next innocent victim, the next viral video that could have been prevented. Comment below if you believe every person deserves respect regardless of their race or where they live. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep exposing these stories. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for justice, for accountability, and for a system that actually protects everyone. This isn't just about one officer or one judge. It's about all of us and the system we are willing to accept. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.